This is the LZR Project, an episodic story series by David N. Alderman. The LZR Project takes place within David's Expired Reality universe and serves as a prequel to the main novels in his Expired Reality series. You can find out more about David's Expired Reality series at davidnalderman.com. Episode number 25. Saturday, May 9th, 1998. Ridley Grant stared out the window of David's office, taking in the sunrise as the sky bled red and orange across the horizon. Dark clouds hovered over the city of Lysalis. A smoky haze settled between the buildings. The pleasure district was nothing more than a collection of burned-out buildings, charred ruins, and corpses. Lots of corpses, and one man responsible for them all, Mr. Big. "Would you like some coffee?" Veronica asked from the office doorway. Without turning away from the city, Ridley shook her head. "I'm fine, thank you." Her head wound had improved slightly, but she feared she might collapse if she sat down or stopped whatever she was doing. There was too much to be done, and so she couldn't go to the hospital or allow herself to rest. Veronica left, and Ridley found herself with a great deal of sorrow. David had gone home to sleep. Carrie, Veronica, and Sean were coordinating rescue efforts for those who might still be alive in the carnage. Roger was filing reports, and Mr. Big was still on the loose. Ridley felt her phone vibrate in the pocket of her black denim jacket. She pulled it out and answered it without looking at who was calling. "Hello? Ridley? Who is this?" she asked. "I didn't expect Mr. Big to be the one to take our gang down. I always thought of him as an idiot, incapable of coordinating a district-wide attack. I was wrong." "You're a member of Corolex?" she asked. "That I am. Probably the only remaining member. I want to meet with you. I want to settle all debts once and for all." "Settle what?" she asked. "The pleasure district is destroyed. Your gang is destroyed. There is nothing left to settle. Mr. Big is our target now. You can go stick your head in a hole and disappear for the rest of your life for all I care." "There is much to discuss," the man on the other end of the phone call said. "Ends that need to be closed. Hemorrhaging that needs to be stopped. Everything is open-ended. Nothing has brought the closure I hope to find at the end of this road." "Closure?" she asked. "You want to talk about closure? Your gang took my brother months ago. Last night you tried to take the city. You can't have both." "I was injured last night," he said. "I will live, but I need to speak with you to bring an end to some things. Please. 4th Street and Vaughn's Canal in an hour." He disconnected the call. Ridley shoved her phone in her pocket. An hour later, Ridley drove her SUV off the main street and into the Vaughn's Canal, which had dried up due to the lack of rain over the past few months. Once she came off the incline, she drove to the center of the paved canal and turned off the engine. "I'm here," Ridley said aloud. "I have you on the GPS," Veronica chimed into her earpiece. "I don't really know what to expect," Ridley replied. "Neither do I, but if it's a chance to cut off the head of the snake, I'm all for it." "As am I," Ridley agreed. "Just keep that GPS signal strong. If something happens to me, send in the cavalry." Ridley spotted another SUV driving down the incline toward her. She turned the key and started the engine, ready to flee if she saw more SUVs coming down the ramp. But nobody joined the lone vehicle as it pulled up near her and stopped. Ridley couldn't make out who was inside of the other vehicle due to the darkened glass, but she turned her engine off in good faith. She double-checked the sidearm on her hip and made sure her knife was secretly concealed near her right ankle, underneath her sock. "He's here," Ridley said. "I still have your signal," Veronica said. "I'm pulling up satellite now." "Roger isn't around, right?" "No," Veronica answered. "He left a while ago. I'm hacked into the satellite under an alias anyway, so even if he caught me from his home computer, he wouldn't know it was me." "Good," Ridley said. "I'm sorry that I asked you to participate in this. I would have been upset if you hadn't. If this will bring you closure, I'm all for it. Whoever this man is, he has to pay for what happened in the pleasure district. You do whatever you have to do. David doesn't ever need to know, neither does anyone else." Ridley felt tears welling up in her eyes. She had never had someone look out for her like this before. In her time at the LZR Project, Ridley had never thought Veronica could be such a loyal friend like this. Right now, she was the only one Ridley trusted. David would oppose any kind of killing, and Roger would stick Ridley in prison for the rest of her life if he had the chance. "I'm going to get out," Ridley said. "Do you have the satellite pulled up yet?" "Yes." Ridley opened the car door and stepped out onto the concrete. A cool breeze coasted through the canal. She left her door open as she walked to the area between the two vehicles. She watched the door of the other vehicle open, and out stepped a man in a dark sweatshirt with the hood up over his head, concealing his identity. He walked around the front of his SUV and put his hands up to show he wasn't carrying any weapons. "I come unarmed," he said. "I would appreciate the same from you." He motioned to the gun on her hip. "Do you really think I'm that stupid?" she asked. "I want us to be on equal ground when we have our discussion," the man replied. Ridley slid her gun out of the holster and set it on the hood of her vehicle. "Does that suffice?" He nodded and then stuck his hands into the pockets of his sweatshirt. "Now, what did you bring me here for?" Ridley asked. "Your gang is destroyed and you have the chance to start a new life without anyone hunting you down. Why contact me and tell me that you're alive?" "It seems confusing, doesn't it?" he asked. "No, it just seems stupid." "I remember simpler days, you know," he said. "Simpler times. I remember playing on the tire swing in the backyard under a warm and sunny sky. I remember pointing out the Arcturus constellation in the night sky, while making comments about wanting to see space someday. I remember going to the winter festival with my older sister." The man pulled his hood down. His face was unmistakable. Even with the long scar running across his bald head and the burn marks marring the left side of his face, Ridley recognized him as her brother. "Lincoln? You died." He shook his head and stepped closer to her, reaching his hand to her face to stroke her cheek. "No, dear sister, I didn't die. Almost, but not quite." She took his hand in hers, saw the unmistakable youth in her younger brother's eyes, and knew he was telling the truth. "How? They shot you in the head." He reached up and ran his hand along the scar on the top of his head. "They did, but I survived." She pulled away from him and took a few steps back. "Wait, if you're still alive, and you were in the Pleasure District, and you have connections with the Corolex gang." "When I was shot," he said, "and you left Corolex to rot, I was taken in by those who survived. They restored me, lifted me up. They were my family." "I buried you," Ridley whispered. "You buried who I wanted you to bury." "You fooled me," she said. "Why? Why didn't you just come to me and tell me that you survived?" "Opportunity," he answered. "I had nothing before I got mixed up in Corolex. Nothing." Ridley shook her head. "I became Corolex, undercover, to pull you out and to shut down that damn gang. I risked my life to save you. And you turn around and hide from me and befriend my enemy?" "They are not enemies, Ridley. Misunderstood, but not enemies. You did what you always do, run in with assumptions and ask questions later." The shock of her brother's betrayal struck her spirit with so much force she could hardly breathe. "They killed so many innocents, Lincoln. Don't you understand? The violence I saw, the people I had to bury." Lincoln turned his back to her. "I don't expect you to understand," he said. "You're my older sister. Your job is to protect me. But I didn't need protection. When I was left for dead, I was left with my new family. And when I was at full health, and you had declared the end of the Corolex gang, I took it upon myself to become the leader of the remnant. Those who had brought me back to life were put into key positions in my resurrected gang, and we began planning our takeover of Lysalis. Since you thought we were all dust, it was easy to reestablish ourselves." Ridley couldn't stop the tears. To watch her younger brother turn into the demon who stood before her caused her heart to ache and her stomach to turn. She fought to breathe while she watched her brother turn and stare at her with a stone expression on his face. "We would have succeeded," he said, "had it not been for Mr. Big. He destroyed everything I spent the last 6 months planning. He will die for what he has done, by my hand." Ridley wiped her tears on her sleeves. "You won't succeed, Lincoln. The laser blades will stop you. I will stop you. You are my sweet, dear sister. You went undercover to save your brother's life. You thought I wanted out of that gang, didn't you? It's sad. I told you over and over again that they were my family. You didn't want to believe it. I hope you believe it now." "This is what you brought me here for?" she asked. "This is what you wanted to share with me?" He held out his hand. "Come with me." "What?" "Come with me," he repeated. "Together we can destroy Mr. Big. Brother and sister fighting alongside one another instead of against one another." "You're screwing with me?" she asked. "No," he said, motioning to his open hand. "Take my hand and come with me. I have money. I have resources. Big won't know what hit him." Ridley reached behind her and grabbed her gun from the hood of her vehicle. She pointed it at her brother. I can't believe you think I joined forces with the leader of the Corolex gang." Lincoln withdrew his hand and turned his eyebrows down in anger. "Don't be a fool, Ridley. You're not going to shoot me. I'm your brother, your own flesh and blood. If you aren't going to join me, fine. I'll take care of Mr. Big myself, on my own terms, without intervention from you or that stupid crime-fighting group you've decided to pair yourself with. They're my friends, Lincoln. They fight for justice. You broke my heart. I thought you were dead this whole time. I thought I buried you in the ground. I went through the grieving process and I've been regretting the time I put into my undercover work because I thought it was what killed you in the end. It wasn't. You killed yourself." I gave myself the best future I could, he said. Mom and Dad abandoned you and me. Don't you understand? He screamed, tears forming in his eyes. He paced frantically, rubbing his hand across his head in back and forth gestures. They did abandon us, Lincoln, but it was up to us to pick ourselves up and move forward with our lives. You can't hold on to them like they're anchors. They sunk a long time ago. I wasn't willing to sink with them. He lunged toward her, but she lifted the gun, stopping him in his tracks. You weren't willing to sink, but you let me sink, he shouted. You didn't give a shit about me. You abandoned me for your stupid career, and the Corolex gang were the only ones who cared enough to help me to my feet. They pulled you into a life of crime, Lincoln. They pulled you down, not up. I sacrificed my life to save yours, only to find that yours didn't need saving. You are the very thing I've been battling all these years. He threw his hands up in the air. Where does this leave us, Ridley? Huh? Are you still my sister, or are you going to take me in? If you take me in, I guarantee you I will find a way out of the legal system. I know so many people, so many. That ambush that came down on you on your way to the courthouse? I did that. I set that up. That was child's play. You lock me up, I'll get out. I'll rebuild Corolex. I can always rebuild Corolex. And I'll go after Mr. Big and carve him up like a turkey. Then I'll come after your friends, all of your friends. I won't leave anyone standing, because this city will bow to Corolex. Ridley held the gun steady but refused to put her finger on the trigger. I need you to come with me, Lincoln. I can get you the help you need. He swung his arm out in front of him, chopping the air. No! I don't need help, Ridley. Don't you get it? I am who I am going to be. There's no going back to a time of innocence. I've already killed people. I've done things. You don't even know what I've done. He patted his chest. This is me. If you don't like me, then you and I are done. I don't like what you've become, she said, but you have this one chance to change. I don't care what you've done. You're my brother. We can get through this together. I've done some things too. Veronica's voice came through her earpiece. Do you want backup? No, Ridley answered. Acknowledged, Veronica replied. Do what you have to do, Ridley. Just let me know if you need any help. Lincoln slid his hand behind him and pulled out a small pistol. He aimed it at Ridley. Put your gun down, sis. Ridley slid her finger to the trigger. I'm not your sister anymore, Lincoln. I was, at a time. But that time is past. Put your gun down, and I'll go with you to get you the help you need. He wiped the tears from his eyes and grinned. I am Corolex. I will always be Corolex. Ridley took a deep breath and steadied her trembling hands. I'm going to ask you once, Lincoln. I'm going to ask that you drop the gun and get on the ground with your hands on your head. If you don't do that, I'm going to have no choice but to fire on you. You won't kill me, he said. You devoted months of your life to save mine. Are you really going to throw that all away now? Would it all have been in vain? I always do what I have to do, Lincoln. Always. Lincoln pointed the gun straight at her face. You do what you have to do, and I'll do what I have to do. Drop the gun, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. We can do this together. No, we can't. His finger began to pull the trigger. Ridley closed her eyes and fired her pistol. When no other gunshot echoed through the canal, she opened her eyes and found her brother on the ground on his back, a pool of blood blossoming underneath his head. She dropped the gun and crouched over her brother's body. Minutes passed before Veronica's voice chirped in her ear. Ridley, I show that police have been called to your position. You need to decide what you're going to do. She lifted her head and took her brother's gun off the ground. It felt lighter than she thought it should have. She checked the magazine and found it to be empty. She checked the chamber and found it empty as well. Ridley? Ridley, I can help you, but you have to let me know what you want to do. Someone heard the gunshots and police are on their way there. Ridley's mind raced. She saw the blood and the body and the vehicles. I need to get out of here. I need to get him out of here. I know of a place where you could put the body, Veronica said. Nobody will know what happened, but you have to move. The blood. Don't worry about the blood, Veronica said. Just get in the vehicle with the body and get out of there. Ridley lifted Lincoln's body into the back of her vehicle. She moved to the driver's seat and started up the SUV. What do I do about his car? Don't worry about it, Veronica said. I'm sure he wasn't stupid enough to leave prints or any belongings in it. I'll make sure it's taken care of, but you have to get out of there. Ridley drove the vehicle out of the canal and lost herself in the traffic of the main street. He wanted to die, she said, and he wanted me to be the one to kill him. He goaded me into doing it. He didn't think he could change, Ridley. He didn't think there was any hope for him. He would rather have his sister kill him than anyone else. I could have helped him, Ridley said. You already did everything you could, Ridley. He made his own decisions. You can't accept guilt for that. Ridley watched as a swarm of police cars passed her on the other side of the road. They're going to find the car and the blood. No, they won't, Veronica said. I just released the seals to the canal water on the other end. The flow will wash the blood in the vehicle away. They'll find the vehicle eventually, but there shouldn't be any prints or proper registration. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for listening to the LZR Project. If you are interested in reading more of David's Expired Reality series, please check out the author's webpage at davidnalderman.com.